Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Bernstein, and welcome again to our Big Time Boxing Show. We're happy you joined us for the second installment in what a series of shows that we're calling our Hall of Fame Spotlight shows. And on these shows, we'll be featuring people who have been inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, and that description certainly fits our next guest, who is not only in that Hall of Fame, a number of other ones as well. He is the longest active sports columnist and writer in America. He just reached the beautiful age of 95. He is shortly going to be publishing his 16th book as an author, and has won literally just about every sports writing award you could possibly win. He wrote one of his books called Once There Were Giants. Among other things in the book, it chronicles the Thrilla in Manila fight from October of 1975, and that's part of the reason why we're talking to Jerry on this show, because it's the 50th anniversary of that fight. So let me introduce you to a gentleman who is one of the most iconic sports writers ever, Mr. Jerry Izenberg. Jerry, how are you?
I'm fine, and it's good to be here.
Yeah,
It's
very
good to
nice
be
to have
anywhere.
you. Yeah, anywhere at this point, right? Hey, you are the dean of sports columnists. Your position in sportscasting is one of enormous impact and influence in many ways. You started your career back in 1951 at the Newark Ledger. I, when you look back on it, could you ever have imagined when you were a young man, did you think I'm going to have this iconic career, or were you just focused on the moment of trying to say, okay, I have to, you know, figure out this my craft and try to move ahead a little bit?
I was a senior in college, and I did not think much about sports at all, except for the extra money. I really had my mind focused on the back seat of my 1945 Chevrolet, where I spent many interesting experiences.
Important, yeah.
Well, and then it was everything.
Yeah. What more important place could there be for a young man? That's for sure.
Here you
Well, you,
go.
yeah. Well, you did, and of course, you crafted a great career, starting at that moment, at that newspaper, and you learned one of the things you learned was from your editor, which I find fascinating when you talk about it. You know the difference between a newspaper man and a journalist, and he often made the distinction between those two, even though you are both in truth. But he often made the distinction of that.
Well, that was Stanley Woodward, who came back to the paper after I came back from Korea. I was sitting around trying to get a job because the paper didn't care whether I came back or not. But I applied to him because I knew who he was, he came to the Ledger. And when we finished our interview, he said to me, I got one more question. You're not making any money now. That means anything. Why do you want to stay in this business? And that was brownie point time. And I said, Mr. Woodward, I've always wanted to be a journalist. And he looked at me like he was scraping dog shit off the bottom of his shoe. And he said, you're in the wrong building, son. Go get a three-piece suit in Klein's basement. Go to a hock shop and get a Phi Beta Kappa key. Then go to the New York Times, and they will hire you as a journalist, and you can go cover financial conferences in Switzerland. In my building, all we have is newspapermen. And if I hire you, don't ever forget that, or I will fire you.
That's
And my
funny.
only thought was, damn it, he's really right. Samuel Pepys was a journalist. Every morning I got up at 10, I went to the market. He was a journalist. Newspaper guys not only try to find what's happening, you try to find why it's happening.
Yeah, that's funny. Um, Now, one of the reasons we wanted to, you've covered, of course, many great events in all sports. Obviously, more Super Bowls than anybody in history. But you covered a seminal boxing event on October 1st, 1975, which we're having the 50th anniversary of that event, which is hard to believe. The Thrilla in Manila, in which Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier fought for the third time. And the interesting thing to me, and in your book, Once There Were Giants, you have a whole chapter on this, which is really terrific. And one of the interesting things about this fight going in is Ali really and his people really perceived this as a good chance to make a lot of money and have an easy payday. Is that pretty accurate?
Oh, that it couldn't be more accurate. First of all, I got to back up. We're in Malaysia. This is after Foreman. He's defending his title against Joe Bugner from England. And he says, I'm quitting after this fight. So now it's the day he quit. He won the fight. We knew he had to write stories and tear them up as long as he was in the room. He changed his mind, or he planted it in the first place. So Dave Anderson from the Times and I are walking down the hall, and we hear this voice coming down at us. He can't fight, he can't fight, he can't punch, he can't. Old man, I'll knock him cold. And the door is open, because he's waiting for customers, and it's us. He says, come on in, fellas, I got to show you something. He shows me Joe Frazier's last fight before they signed the fight. He said, look at him, look at him, look at him. He can't fight. I said, well, are you telling us? Yeah, I'm going to find him. You two guys write a short story. And so we wrote it. We torqued the old one and we wrote the new one. Now we're getting ready for the fight. I'm sorry?
No, that's interesting. It's a great story.
Yeah. So now we're getting ready for the fight. I saw the tape that he showed me. I had a great respect for Frazier. I knew his story as well as I knew Ellie's. I knew him not quite as well, but I knew him for about 30 years too. Ali, I knew for 50. So we're going to go to Manila. Jerry Lister, who was the sports editor of the New York Post, flies with me. We drive up in a taxi to the hotel, and there's a 4-foot tall Filipino, maybe a little taller, in tails and a top hat and a bullhorn. And he's yelling, I spoke to the Lord last night, and the Lord told me Joe Frazier will knock him out. I said, Jerry, run up there and ask him if he'll give me 3-1 on that, because I'll take it right now, right here. And that's the way it started. Everything happened there. He said to me one day, you want to go to a party? I said, yeah, I always want to go. Marcos is giving a party. You come with me. So we go to Mark. I saw the shoe room for Mrs. Marcus with the thousands of shoes with him. So now, she's a former Miss Universe. And Veronica Porsche, who we took to this thing, beautiful girl. Someone's going to take their picture. Ali then, for whatever reason, it's in the corner of his mind, identifies the two as his wife and Veronica Porsche. And his wife and Imelda. It's on the front page of the Chicago Times. She's on the first thing smoking on her way to Manila, right? Because he told her this is a serious fight and I can't have any vision. Well, he was sleeping with Veronica Porsche. So she comes in the room, bangs. He says, nobody goes to the airport. We all know what was happening. So I go to the airport, of course. And I bump into her and I said, can I offer you a cab ride back? Because I'm going back. I had to get my ticket changed. And she said, no, I need 3 cabs. That's for the clothes and for the Malaysian nanny and whatever. So there's the fleet that I organize is now 3 taxis. We go straight to the hotel. She gets in the elevator, doesn't close the door. I get in the elevator, go upstairs. He opens the door, because she's banging on it. And she puts together every form of curse words I never heard before.
Wow.
And he is going like this, pointing. I'm standing behind her, and he's pointing at me, And then she runs in, he slams the door. That's as close as I got. I wait in the lobby because something's going to happen. She's in the presidential suite, very expensive stuff up there. She's got a black belt. She karates the rickety table in half, and the vase on the table, God knows what it was, breaks in a million pieces. All of a sudden, the parade comes back out. The nanny, the clothes, they're going back to the airport. I later find out because I knew a lot of guys into black Muslims, and it's a misnomer, but that's what they called themselves at that time. Now, Honorable Elijah Muhammad had died, so in the interim, Wallace Muhammad became the new minister, ultimate minister, and it was close. The Farrakhan almost beat him out. It was very close. Farrakhan was an old-line, old-guard black Muslim. And Wallace went to the University of Al-Khazar in Cairo, spoke fluent Arabic, knew the history of Islam. He took over. When she was steaming out and running into the plane to get back to Chicago to start her everything in motion, the cleaning crew comes on. They were going to go to Hawaii to clean a plane, to change planes to get to Chicago. Guy comes up to her in the cleaning coat, but he's not a cleaning guy. He's sent by Wallace Muhammad. Wallace sends a message. We cannot afford this kind of thing now. I will see to it. If you want a divorce, if that's what you want, I'll see you get it, and I'll see you get a lot of money, and you get what's coming to you. Please do not make a problem. She lands in Hawaii, and she says, Chicago, when they changed. And she says, well, we have a rule. You can have 2 or 3 wives. I'm not going to be upset by it. So she's going to play ball. Of course, she knows what the rainbow is going to give her. Well, Veronica is kind of speechless in a way. I mean, that was a terrible, traumatic experience for everybody. And it was her second because they got caught in Zaire is another problem. Well, he's ready for the fight. He's in the ring. Oh, before that, Zach Clayton refereed the 4-man fight. Jay Edson, a very responsible person, an authorized referee, and who worked for Bob Arum, setting up the fights. The Frazier people wanted Edson. The other people wanted Clayton because referees have styles. Edson would let Frazier fight on the inside, which is the only place he can fight from. They would let Ali stay on the outside. The other guy, Clayton, they make a protest, and it's now scheduled. They're going to agree. No Filipino is strong enough and tough enough to pull apart these 2 guys who hated each other. Then they're going to differ on who they want to referee it. Meanwhile, Futch calls up Rizzo, the former police commissioner and the mayor of Philadelphia. Clayton works for the city of Philadelphia. He tells Clayton, what are we going to do with this guy? Don't you worry about it. He won't be there. He calls up Clayton and he said, listen, you've been away long enough. I want you in my office tomorrow. We have to discuss your future. Well, Clayton's got to go. Now that evil has been removed, according to the other side, but they still got to figure it out. I'm going to the rules meeting because I know something's going to happen there. In comes a colonel. He's got ribbons everywhere. He must have fought everywhere. He pulls this huge 45. I don't know if you've ever really seen a 45. It ain't looking like a little revolver or a Derringer. I mean, you're looking at a GUN, a big one. Puts it on the table, points to it and says, I understand we have something of a dispute here. I don't think we do. Nobody says a freaking word. He says, a Filipino will referee this fight. And in fairness to you, I will bring him in now. In comes the tallest Filipino I have seen since Roman Gabriel. You know he's going to referee. This guy worked. I've seen thousands of fights. This guy worked under difficult situations. the hardest fight to work, and he created
Yeah.
a fight where there were no clinches because early in the fight, Ali was not the American boy. When he was in the ring, he put his hand behind Frazier's head, pulled his head down, and threw an uppercut. And the referee steps in and waves the punch away and says, "One more time, I will throw you out of this building." Joe misses the strike zone, comes a little low. Good punch. I mean, Ali would have been singing the bells of St. Mary's if it had been a little harder in a soprano voice. Anyway, you do it again, I take you out of it. They were more afraid of that than anything else. They did not clinch. The greatest
Yeah.
fight I ever saw. No knockdowns, no clinches.
Yeah.
What it was
Unlike
my,
unlike some of the previous fights of Ali where they
oh
let him
yeah,
get away with the holding,
oh
and
yeah, yeah.
in this
And the other
case
guy
they
low
didn't.
blow, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about it was no clinches, no knockdowns.
Yeah.
Greatest fight I ever
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah.
The fight started with Ali on the verge of knocking out Frazier.
Yeah.
Referee, he let him fight. Now they get to like the fourth round. Now I knew Ali for 70, I knew him till he died for like 60 years. A good friend, as was Frazier, but not as close as Ali. Anyway, Ali always talked in the ring. He always said to me, "Why do you write that?" I said, "Because you do it. You don't know it, you do it." In the first fight in Madison Square Garden, where the crowd was pro Ali, and he convinced everybody that Frazier was white, uh, he's losing the fight, and he's gonna lose it. There's no question about it. After all, Ali did have two fights when he came back, all within a few months, and he was gone for 2.5 years. That's quite a testimony. So in the corner, somebody tells him, it might have been Dundee, "You lost the fight unless you knock him out in this round." Ali had a trick through all of his later career. He could turn the clock back a minute and a half. If it came to 2 minutes, he was Ali, the current Ali. But boom, boom, he's throwing punches and he's yelling at Joe, "Fool, fool, you have to fall. Allah has proclaimed, I will be the champion forever. You cannot beat God." Frazier slips a punch, throws the hook, and says, "God is going to get his ass whipped tonight." Down goes Ali. Fight is over. He did not win that fight.
Mm.
And the hatred, there's a reason for this. First of all, I wait because now Frazier had to go to the hospital. Ali made a field day out of that. Who won the fight?
Yeah.
It was racial. It was blah, 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 blah. Frazier's livid. So I figured, so a week after the fight, it's safe enough. I'm going to Philadelphia, and I'm going to pick his brain and see what he really thinks. I get down there, and there's a floor-to-ceiling poster on the wall of Frazier going to a neutral corner and Ali on his ass. I said, "You didn't waste much time, did you?" He said, "I got a lot to tell you. Let's go get sandwiches. We'll come back." So we go to this local deli. Gopher goes in and get the sandwiches. Three little kids come running down the hill, maybe 8, 9 years old. "Joe Frazier, Joe Frazier." Oh, he loves that. He sends the other gopher back to get the autographed pictures. "You kids should be in school." "No, it's lunchtime." "Oh, I never thought of that." Then he says, "You got no hurt nobody. You got to grow up straight and go get an education." One kid looks at him and says, "My daddy says Muhammad Ali was drugged." Joe got so mad, he got on his knees. So he was head to head with, I don't know what he was going to do. And he says, "You run home now. You tell your daddy he was right. He was drugged. I drug him with a left hook." Now the kids scatter. He turns to me and he says, "You saw it happen. You know it happened. You hear this. What the hell am I supposed to do to make people understand?"
Yeah.
I said, "It's a big, big shadow, Joe. Not many people are going to get out of it." And I was right because he and Holmes stayed in that shadow as long as he
Yeah.
was born.
Yeah. It's a
Okay,
remarkable thing.
yeah, so we get back, and there's a thing because, Ali is trying to get a rematch, but he feels Ali's pretty smart. he doesn't know how good Joe. He knows how good Joe was that night. He doesn't know how good he'll be when they finally catch. So he takes the long route, fighting weaker guys, other guys.
Yeah.
Now it comes to the point where the second fight, of course, because if it wasn't Ali and Frazier, I would have walked out of the second fight. It was
It
nothing.
wasn't scintillating.
Now you know what happened in Malaysia when he was screaming he can't fight it. So he thought it was a cinch. It was a big paycheck, no problem. That fight was just amazing. The first 4 rounds they split because he almost knocked him out early. That's when Frazier hits him
Yeah.
with the right hand, and he hits
The
him
right
again.
hand that he had worked on with Georgie Benton going into the fight.
Exactly. It wasn't the best right hand you ever saw, but Futch was right. It got Ali thinking, well, is this a new weapon I have to deal with? Ali slowed down. The pace turned toward Joe, and it went back and forth. And I don't know whether I've told you what my scorecard was. Have I told you that?
No, what was the scorecard that you had?
Okay. It was very different from judges, but very often my scorecard is different from judges. They don't see body blows.
Yeah.
Not all of them. The good ones see them.
Right, but
But
some
there's a
don't.
lot of them that aren't very good and they don't see them. Well, Joe never hit anybody above the waist, and Ali never hit anybody below it. So I mean, it was
Yeah, right, exactly.
all right.
Yeah.
So now their scorecard, he's got to fight one. In the 11th or 12th round, somewhere in there, might have been 10th, but the late rounds, because there were only 14. Frazier's standing there with his arms by his side, and his legs are trembling like wet spaghetti. Ali, who doesn't look like he's in any good shape either, is 2 feet away from him. If he pushes him, fight is over. He can't walk the 2 feet to push him. The bell rings. Ali slumps on a chair. Frazier comes back. And Futch says to Benton, doesn't talk to Frazier, cut the gloves off. And Benton says, you sure? He said, I told you to cut the damn gloves off. Frazier says, if you do that, I'll kill both of you. And Futch says, son, your eyes are worth a lot more than some hunky junk championship belt. We're going to do it. And they did it. The Ali corner spotted it, and Ali was very much relieved. He felt he was going to win the fight. My scorecard was, I had Ali ahead by 1 point. What that meant, and they had him ahead by 3 or 4. What that meant on my scorecard, which is the one I would have written about,
Right.
Ali wins the round, fight is over, decision. Frazier wins the round, draw. Frazier knocks him down, he wins the round and he wins the fight. But of course,
Yeah,
I don't believe he could have.
The key point of all that, right, is the middle rounds for Joe Frazier were so astonishing in that fight.
Yep.
That
you're right.
And you very well depict it in the book. The punishment he dealt out to Ali was so staggering that you had to have that a close fight. It had to be because of that period, and then of course Ali came back. Were you so when the fight ended and they Ali is the winner. He said the closest thing to dying I ever felt.
Yeah.
Did you feel at that moment the sense of history of what was going on?
Well, he said it to Dave Anderson and me. We were on the end of the aisle. He was going up the aisle. He said, that's the closest thing you'll ever see to death. And I said to Anderson, I don't want to see any closer because I'll probably be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
brutal, right?
My definition of boxing, when it's done, it's got to be done right. We got a lot of guys who can't spell fight, they certainly can't do it.
Yeah.
But if it's done right, and it were two really, really outstanding fighters,
yeah,
what you will get is a perfectly choreographed dance.
Yeah.
And the most brutal sport there is.
Yeah, right. It's very well put. That event for you, you've covered many great events. I'm sure this one is very high on the list of most dramatic and most interesting to cover.
It is, first of all, because I thought it was going to be. I thought it'd be over in 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Surprising
I'll tell
too.
you what Frazier the right hand gave Frazier a new weapon, a new reason for being in the fight. It didn't decide the fight, but it was important. I say that because George Foreman, rest his soul, good friend of mine. He one day said to me, "You're always writing, styles make fights, but I don't know if you know why. I'm going to teach you. I could fight Ali 100 times. Ali wins 100 fights. I can fight Frazier 100. I knock him out 100 times. But when these two come together, life and death, because the styles indicate they must
Yeah.
meet in the ring somewhere. What will decide the fight is if Frazier decides the geography of the ring where they will meet,
Yeah.
or Ali owns the ring and he decides. And that's what happens.
Yeah. Truly amazing. Before I let you go, I want to mention the fact that you have a new book coming out. And the topic is fascinating. Tell us the title of the book and what we can look forward to.
It's my second novel, but it's loaded with facts because there are a million anecdotes about about the black experience. This is a definitive piece about what happened with
Yeah, it's
black
about
leagues.
You have Josh Gibson as a protagonist in the
Yeah,
play in the book.
and when they used to call him the Black Babe Ruth,
Right.
Ruth was the white Josh Gibson.
Yeah.
He's
Right.
the
Yeah.
only man to hit a fair ball out of the original Yankee State, a fair home run ball. Nobody else. The
Yeah.
first man to hit a home run into the 510 feet away center field bleachers at the Polo Grounds. He could do anything. This is a book based on a fact in life. I knew a guy named Ray Dandridge, played third base for the Newark Eagles, great professional black team. The hero in this book, the protagonist, is a combination between Max Manning, the number 2 pitcher, and Ray Dandridge, their personalities. Because Ray Dandridge broke his leg sliding home against Gibson. In real life, he came back the next year and tormented Gibson. He'd get to his knees to feel ground balls and he'd yell, "Run, Josh, run." And Gibson was so angry at him, he could hit the ball wherever he wanted. He kept trying to drive it through his throat. So it was a tremendous rivalry. But these two guys mirrored the personality. And it's a tribute to the Black Leagues. And it doesn't pull any punches about the things the White League. Never mind what happened when Jackie and Larry started to play. Other dirty things, terrible things they did.
Yeah.
There was a
Yeah. Yeah.
secret meeting in
Well.
Hotel Roosevelt, meeting room meeting room O. They invited Paul Robeson to make the case for putting blacks in, but it was a frame-up. So Robeson makes this inspired speech, and Kenneth from Mountain Landis, who's behind the whole thing, he's briefed everybody what they're going to do. He said, that was an inspiring speech. The time may have come. I'm going to set up an ad hoc committee right now about letting blacks into baseball, because we never really had anything that kept them out, he said. And Mr. Robeson, I'd like you to be the ad hoc chairman. And he appointed the committee. That committee never met, never were in the same room, never saw each other again. That's what happens is our hero is a grandfather now with a little kid that worships him. And he's seeing ghosts. He's seeing the ghost of Josh Gibson, a great pitcher with the Newark Eagles, who was number 1 pitcher, and Satchel Paige. And they're not talking, and it's driving him crazy. And he can't tell his daughter because she'll put him in a home.
Yeah.
But there's a guy
Great
he
concept.
there's a guy he knew who was a candy butcher at Rupert Stadium where the Newark Bears and the Eagles played. He'd go up and down the aisles, hot the red hot, scorecards, that kind of stuff. He had a candy store now. Our hero trusted him, and he told him about the ghosts. And the guy said, listen, everybody's got ghosts. My religion, we call them Dybbuk's. I drove for the Newark boys one time, for a while. Some people got hurt, some people got dead. My Dybbuk's come to me. If you think you see ghosts, you see them, but they may be trying to get something for you that will help them. What they wanted was his grandson, because there I have a scene in there which is based on real life, with Monty Irvin, when his kids said, "You never had a league." The black kids, "You never had a league." They would never let you do that. This kid was going to be the messenger. They were going to recreate everything that happened in the black league for this kid to see. That's the whole thing of the book.
Yeah. Well, I would look forward to the book very much. And you are adept as a novelist and a nonfiction writer. Jerry, so happy that you could come here and talk about that great experience. And we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of that fight. Your career, of course, which continues. You just signed a new agreement with the newspaper. You will continue writing, and people will continue to get your insights on sports.
But you can't be as happy as I am to be able to be here.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Jerry Izenberg, one of the great sports writers of all time, and that is probably an understatement. We hope you enjoyed this installment of our Hall of Fame Spotlight. The next episode of our Hall of Fame is going to feature one of the legendary broadcasters of boxing, my longtime friend and partner, Barry Tompkins. So you'll want to be here for that show as well. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next time on Big Time Boxing.